There's no question that President Emmanuel Macron has Africa on his sides as he seeks to re-establish France's global influence. He's been on a charm offensive to the continent on several occasions since he was elected president. And his visits have not just been to Francophone Africa, but even to the Anglophone countries of the continent. And lately, it's been the turn of Nigeria, where he spent 2 days not just meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari, but also attending a cultural event at a famous nightclub in Lagos and holding a town hall session with young entrepreneurs in the city.
One cannot help but read into these some of the ructions we've seen in the immediate aftermath of the Brexit vote in the United Kingdom just over a year ago now. The British are leaving the European Union. They're desperate to seek out new markets, particularly in some of the Commonwealth countries like Nigeria. And I think the French just do not want to be left on the sideline.
France has always been the dominant economic force in virtually all the African countries it once colonized. While it has always maintained a presence in English-speaking African countries like Nigeria, the impact of its influence has not been as strong.
The complaint against French commercial penetration of former colonies like Cameroon, the Ivory Coast, and others is that they dominate the economies to such an extent that they virtually leave no space for some of the domestic players, you know, to carve out a niche for themselves.
It's something Mr. Macron says he wants to change and go beyond economic relations. And he made that clear when he met with President Buhari in Abuja.
I want us together to develop a much more important relation on culture and sport. I think it's not something marginal. And we probably underestimated during the past years the importance, especially for our young people, of culture and sport. I delivered a speech a few months ago in Ouagadougou saying how the cultural relation between France and key countries in Africa were, for me, very important.
While not pushing economic and security issues aside, Mr. Macron has continued to preach cultural diplomacy in all of his trips to Africa. It's that cultural diplomacy that brought him to the New Africa Shrine, a popular nightclub owned by the late Nigerian Afrobeat icon Fela Kuti, where the French president launched the African culture season scheduled for France in 2020 and rubbed minds with culture and entertainment practitioners in Nigeria. And he indeed got a positive response.
It's a good sign for us, and I believe that it's going to start a new thing. I give it to the president because I think maybe it's because he's like us, he's young at heart.
The fact that a sitting French president of one of the largest nations in the world decides that he must visit Lagos, recognizing the status of this city as a cultural capital on the continent, it validates everything that our artists, our musicians, our filmmakers, our fashion designers have been working towards over the decades.
So far, the French president has received very positive response from Africa on his recent trips to the continent. How long the euphoria would last, though, remains to be seen. But there's no question that Mr. Macron's ideas are a breath of fresh air in the relations between Africa and France. Deji, Badmus, CGTN, Lagos, Nigeria.